We've come together in the presence of God to join this man Chandler and this woman Alyssa in holy matrimony. Chandler, Alyssa, I just wanted to share a quote from C.S. Lewis that I found recently that it actually reminded me of both of you. Now at last, they were beginning chapter 1 of the great story no one on earth has ever read, which goes on forever, in which every chapter is better than the one before. Today we're beginning chapter 1 of your great story. No one on earth has ever read it. May it go on forever. May every chapter be better than the one before. You know, we had lunch a couple of weeks ago. I told you both that your marriage is one of a kind, that never in the history of the world will there ever be a marriage like yours ever again. In many ways, up to this point, you've both written your own stories as individuals, stories that have included drama and comedy, romance, probably some tragedy in there, adventure, maybe even a little bit of fantasy. You know, today you're surrounded by your family and friends who have the honor to witness the beginning of chapter 1 of your great story as husband and wife.
Chandler, I have been praying for you in this moment since I was a little girl. I want to tell you how happy I am to walk down the aisle to you. When I first met you, I never imagined that you would become the better half of me. Here I am today, so thankful that God brought you into my life. You have stuck with me through my good and bad days. You are my strength and the reason I smile. It is my turn to promise you my love and loyalty for this lifetime, and I'm more than happy to do so. I'm so excited to experience all the firsts with you as husband and wife. You are the best part of my life, and I cannot wait to become your wife. Alyssa.
One of the things that really stood out to me in both of you is just your love and commitment for one another. It actually reminded me of the story of Ruth. Ruth was known, among other things, for her commitment and her loyalty. We find these characteristics in Ruth when she says to her mother-in-law, Naomi, in chapter 1, verse 16, she says, "And Ruth said, entreat me not to leave you or to return from following after you. Wherever you go, I will go. And wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God."
My dear sunshine, over the years we have created so many memories and shared so many laughs. My goal in life is to give you the sun, the moon, and the stars. The greatest accomplishment I can achieve in life is to always make you happy and see your beautiful smile daily. Whenever I look into your eyes, I get the same butterflies as when I first fell in love with you. Without a doubt, you are my best friend, and my life is complete with you in it. Over our time together, we have shaped one another and grown together in the most positive ways. You pick me up and encourage me to do what's right in my heart. Because of you, we are the most complete team. I love you, Chandler.
There's a man named Boaz. He sees Ruth one day working in a field, and I've always found it interesting that Ruth was busy working when Boaz noticed her. They were both busy writing their own stories when God brought them into each other's lives. See, when Boaz first sees Ruth, she immediately catches his eye and he asks to meet her. You see, neither of them may have fully realized it at the time, but Boaz needed Ruth just as much as Ruth needed Boaz. As they got to know each other, the two shared a mutual love and admiration for one another. In fact, in Ruth chapter 3, Boaz wakes up to find Ruth at the foot of his bed. She lets him know how she feels, and Boaz is amazed that a girl like Ruth would even be interested in a guy like him.
You do look like a princess.
Beautiful. It looks amazing. Pretty.
Never forget that you need each other. As you write your story as husband and wife, always remember that you're writing it together as co-authors of the same story. You both told me recently that how you started dating back in high school, that Chandler kind of coaxed Alyssa into going shopping with him before the senior trip, and that kind of set things off. But what began as a friendship turned into a relationship that has brought us here today. One of the best things about a great story is that if you read it closely enough, you can catch glimpses of the author's intent. When you read the book of Ruth, you find the hand of God moving ever so subtly behind the scenes, writing Boaz and Ruth's love story, just subtly bringing the two of them together. See, and what I know is this: if you look closely enough, whether you realize it or not, you'll find the hand of God in your story too, just ever so subtly bringing you two together.
Oh my gosh. You're so beautiful.
You like my dress?
That's so pretty. I love you.
Ruth and Boaz do eventually get married, and they even have a child who becomes a grandfather of King David. They're also ancestors of Jesus. My guess is the two of them had no idea their relationship would lead to kings being born and battles being won, death being defeated, and stories being told of their love all these years later. You see, when Ruth and Boaz found each other, they didn't just find love, they found destiny. And what I'm believing for you two is that the same is going to be true. That in this moment, when God brings you together, that in that you find your destinies. Chandler, Alyssa, you've pledged your lives to each other and have sealed your covenant by the giving and receiving of rings. So by the authority vested in me as a minister of the gospel and according to the laws of the state of Oklahoma, I now pronounce you man and wife. Chandler, you may kiss your bride. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present to you Mr. and Mrs. Chandler Blake Hudson.